You're listening to Last Word Radio, where you get the last word.
Welcome to the Fourth Line Podcast, part of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATB. This is June the 10th, 2019. With you today is myself, Carl, and Stevie Nick.
Hi, Carl.
Hello.
We're back.
We are back. We have a lot happening in the world of hockey. It is Game 7 time coming up on Wednesday. We will talk about what led us to there. And the offseason has started. The moves are happening, Nick.
It's kind of exciting, actually.
Yeah, it was nice to have some things to watch. Nick is getting the pleasure of being like 6 inches closer to my face this week than he normally is. I'm taking up all the screen for you.
I was wondering.
Yeah, my usual recording studio has been turned into a home office.
Oh, well.
And so now you get to be a little closer to me.
I don't mind. Makes me feel like we're recording in person more.
It is very personal. And so we'll talk about that. Big game tonight. Game 5.
Game 5, man.
5 NBA Finals tonight in Toronto. And obviously, we're very excited for that. So let's get to the show so that we can get to the game. Before we get to any of that, let's talk about the people who make all of this possible. ATB Financial. They are the official bank of the Alberta Podcast Network and the Fourth Line Podcast. If you are looking for a bank, you should head to atb.com/listens. Head over there and tell them what you need in a bank, and they'll listen. That's what's great about ATB is they care about you. They put you first and want to find a way that they can be the bank for you. Head on over there and find out all the ways that they can do that, as well as the great things that they do in the community, in grassroots hockey and sport in and around Alberta. Fantastic group of folks over there, and you will not regret checking them out. Game 7, Nick. Does it get any better than Game 7?
I don't think it does. Not when it comes to the Stanley Cup. Especially when you think about the last time a Game 7 was played for the Stanley Cup and what happened.
Remind us what happened the last Game 7.
Well, Carl, it was I'm assuming June day in 2011. I really don't know much about this.
Okay.
The hockey game in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. The Boston Bruins are in town. Stanley Cup's on the line. The Bruins win, I believe, 4-0. I don't remember what the score was.
Sounds about right.
Okay.
It was definitive. I know that much.
We'll go with it I remember sitting in a bar in Toronto and them scoring the 3-0 goal, and we're like, okay, let's get our bills.
Yeah.
And then the city of Vancouver erupted in the only way a losing city can. Well, that's not true. In the worst way.
I was going to say,
can.
There are lots of ways that a losing city can erupt.
And it's not by burning itself.
Yeah, it's not by imploding.
Yeah.
Yet, here we are.
And yet, here we are. So, the real test for St. Louis is how well will you take the loss when it comes. It's inevitable, I think.
Yes, for sure. It does seem after last night's game that, well, here's the thing, though. I don't know if it is, because this series is one of such ebbs and flows that, like, it seems like every time a team has an advantage, they adjust and they come back and they counter. That's what's been interesting about this series is, like, you figured after Game 5, so many folks were saying, and I felt very similar, that this was the end for the Bruins. It's like, it's done. And then you go into Game 6 and the Bruins win definitively, and you're like, well, now the Blues are done. We've said that repeatedly over and over again. This team's done. This team's done. I think it's going to be a very good, very much like Game 5-esque game.
But do you think that was a definitive win the other night? Like, I know the score looks definitive, but I thought the Blues actually played pretty good for most of the game.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, the score was, right? The score ended up being, what was it, 5-1?
5-1.
Yeah, with an empty netter. Like, sure, that was it. Binnington played the opposite of what he did in Game 5, right? Game 5, he was the reason that team won. Bruins had 30 plus, like high 30 shot count, and he played fantastic. And then the next day, less so. Yeah,
I didn't think he looked good at all, really, in game 6. He let I think what really killed it was the Brandon Carlo goal, the kind of bouncy wrister that he somehow missed. I think if he stops that, the whole game is different. But
yeah,
that was the beginning of the end.
It was
also another power play goal, which is, how many more times do we have to say stop letting the Bruins get power plays?
Well, and on that power play, they gave them a 5-on-3. Like, you can't give that power play, that unit, a 5-on-3. They talked a lot about it, made a big deal about it on the broadcast of how they put Marcus Johansson back on that unit, as if he was the missing piece and that power play was struggling. They just weren't getting chances like they were before. The Blues stopped taking a ton of penalties, whether it be because Craig Berube complained to the refs and the refs were like, okay, fine, or whether it was because they just played more disciplined hockey. But the Bruins just weren't getting the chances they were on the power play from before.
Yeah, and you're going to get those chances on a 5-on-3, especially against a team like the Bruins.
Yeah, shockingly, they got that cross-crease pass or not cross-crease, but the pass across from Pasternak to Marchand, and that one-timer works like a charm.
Every time. And I think the worst part about it is it was a black and white penalty, that delay of game call. That's a discipline thing. You cannot be taking that penalty when you're already down. Well, you should never take that penalty, but
yeah, there is very few. I get why it happens, right? Sure, you're trying to clear the puck on a penalty kill, but you got to be better.
Yeah, that's just a bad play. So, yeah, that's my really in-depth analysis.
But
on Game 6.
Game 6. Game 5 was the one that really was the controversial game, right? That was the game with the trip, the Tyler Bozak trip. That wasn't a penalty. We're talking about definitive black and white.
Yeah.
Not there.
That was kind of crazy. Even Bozak turned around to be like, yo.
Yeah.
Bozak, sorry.
It wasn't. It looked to me like he turned around to the ref to complain, what? I didn't do anything. And then the ref's yeah, I know. Just keep playing.
Yeah. And he's like, okay.
Yeah, I guess so. That was the whole circumstances around that. Bozak's reaction. If the guy on the ice is I didn't take a penalty before it's even called, it was a penalty.
It was a penalty. Really bad. And you know what the first thing I thought of when I saw that happen was somewhere in a box watching down, Gary Bettman is clenching his fist. He's like, oh no.
What have I done?
I'm going to have to answer for this again.
Yeah, well, and they didn't. So they didn't answer for it again.
It's crazy. I mean, I don't know if you want to start opening the door where you can review all these penalties. The black and white ones, I get. Did the puck hit the net, the mesh, or didn't it? Did it hit the boards before going out, or didn't it? I get those ones. But when it comes to judgment calls like trips and roughs, and I don't know if you want to open that door.
You know what? I just realized I'm really glad we haven't had we haven't had any goalie interference problems with this play.
It's kind of crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. It's been there's just been so many non-calls that it doesn't matter.
It's true. It's true. Especially with all the funny stuff with Binnington and the Bruins at the end of every period.
Yeah.
I'm surprised there hasn't been a little more roughness in the blue.
Yeah. But you say for the black and white penalties, a puck over a glass, you're okay review. I'm not even sure if I want that. I just see how terribly wrong offside calls have gotten. I'm I can see them looking and there's some sort of weird angle. They're trying to see if maybe it was the gust of wind that moved the mesh, or did it hit his stick? Did it change direction? Did it hit the glass? Was it deflected? Who knows? That's what I envision.
First of all, it can't be a challenge. It can't be a coach's challenge. It has to be instigated by the refs, and probably not even the on-ice refs. Honestly, I think the on-ice refs should probably have a thing in their ear And when there's a funky play, like the puck hits the mesh or whatever, then the guy upstairs who has all the replay angles can call down and say, hey, we got to review the goal.
Yeah. Or, we had that happen in the last game, right? The Blues goal where it like just went in, they blew the horn.
Yeah.
Right. And they were like, hey, come take a look at it. We're looking, this might be a goal. You missed it.
Yep.
And I do think that when you have everyone watching, especially for the finals, like even if this is a playoff only thing, which it shouldn't be a playoff only thing, like there's someone watching every game back in the NHL. Back in the NHL. Is that the right tense?
No. Hopefully
okay.
Everybody in the NHL is watching it. But
okay. But like, especially for the finals, right? Like you mean
like in their situation room?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this is it. You get it. You see it. You can get it right immediately. There's no need for the guys on the ice to be the ones making those calls in certain circumstances.
Yeah, I totally agree. And especially in this day and age where you get every single angle on the broadcast, and the fact that like Sportsnet is showing all these angles and showing how they got the play wrong, you'd think that the NHL wants to get ahead of that.
Oh, for sure.
Like start getting it right. You have the angles, you have the video. Just get it right. Add an off-ice official to every game. Yeah.
It doesn't seem that complicated.
Yeah, no.
But apparently it is. And I do hope and think that they'll get there. Like I'm okay. I know soccer has like a very digital thing for like offsides and goals and things like that, right? Like it's odd. I love that. Do that. Because they have the technology to do that over there with a ball. Why can't we do the same with the puck?
So you're like in the camp where it's like get the call right. Like you don't have any time for human error, as in like human error becomes part of the game.
I'm okay with removing it where necessary. Yeah. Like I don't know if I'm going to go to the extreme for hockey. I'm fine with it. I still want an umpire calling balls and strikes, I think.
Yeah.
But even that, I'd be like, in due time, we have the technology to get it right. Let's just do it.
Yeah. Right. Like, I think actually that's a perfect example of like, do you want human error to influence the game and just say it's part of the game that, we have human refs and they make mistakes, or do you just get it right 10 out of 10 times?
And what do you think?
I don't know. I kind of go back and forth. I feel like, in sport, you just want to follow the rules. So if you can get it right, you should be getting it right every time. Now, I think like in hockey in particular, there are some judgment calls. There are penalties that are 100% like, things like hooking and tripping, and like some of them can be actual legit. Some of them are kind of weak. Some of them, like I'm okay with some of those judgment calls, but the black and white stuff, like did the puck hit the glass or not? That I think we should be getting right. And I think the same thing about offsides, by the way.
Absolutely. Offsides should be a thing with the amount of technology that we have out there. That should be something that does not require looking at a grainy iPad for 20 minutes to figure out.
Like, just get it right with the machines the first time and have them stop the play immediately. Like, don't play on for a minute and a half till they score a goal and then go back and check it.
That would be interesting to have like a on-the-fly offside technology-wise. What would you still have just like a whistle play and like a sign on the boards that said offsides? Or
yeah, I think so. Have an automatic whistle through the speakers. If the play goes offside, blow it dead and have the face off. Like, why waste time playing 2 minutes a game?
That's true. Yeah, that is something that I think a lot of people would have a struggle being okay with. But
yeah, I mean, I think there's an angle where like people understand there's a human element to sports and mistakes are going to be made, and it evens itself out in the long run. You may get the bad call this game, but you get the good one in the next.
Yeah. Yeah. And everyone says that, right? Like, we saw with Las Vegas, right? That was the first egregious penalty issue this playoffs.
Yep.
And everyone said, well, just be better, right? Like, just don't give up a goal. Like, don't give up 3 goals on that penalty. And yet we come to Boston with this penalty, and it's like, well, they, should have been going overtime. Just play better, right? Like, these calls are going to happen one way or the other. You're going to get them. And I have not seen, unless your name's Dennis Weidman, I have not seen the officials actually be out to get you at any point in time.
Yeah. I mean, in fairness to them, he did knock one of them out.
Yeah. Well, I get it.
But like, if you think about it in the long run, you know, San Jose, they benefited off that cross check. And they also benefited off the hand pass.
Yeah, San Jose is a case study in that it doesn't always come around. But
it does come around in that they're going to lose Erik Karlsson. So, you know. It's
true. Somehow he's going back to Ottawa now. Who knew that was the case?
I don't believe it.
No. But, so Game 7. What's your pick?
My heart has a pick and my head has a pick.
Yeah, well, I assume, unless you've had quite the change over the last few weeks, we all hope that your heart is in the same place.
My heart is in St. Louis, which is to say my heart is singing the blues.
You're not singing Gloria?
Nope, which means my head is saying the Bruins win. That's why my heart's singing the blues.
Yeah. Recency bias says the Bruins for me as well. However, I believe my heart and my head are going Blues on this one.
Yeah?
It's been so back and forth. Like you said, last game the Blues played pretty well. And the game before, the Bruins played pretty well and lost. And so I think that the Bruins will play pretty well and lose.
I hope you're right, Carl. They got to find a way to beat Tuukka Rask. And Binnington's got to find a way to stop pucks.
Tuukka Rask, I believe the number I saw earlier was a .984 save percentage in elimination games this postseason.
Oh, boy.
With 2 shutouts. That is pretty good.
Yes. He's certainly the Conn Smythe pick.
Yeah. Are we at the point that he's the Conn Smythe pick even if the Blues win?
I don't know. You've been saying this for weeks now. I don't know if I'm buying it.
We started seeing, the Blues go up before Game 6, and everyone starts talking, well, who are we going to give the Conn Smythe to? And I think it was mostly people crowdsourcing the ideas, right? So
yeah.
the voters being like, who do you want me to vote for? It was a lot of who is it going to be? And trying to make the cases, but
if Jaden Schwartz kept up the pace he was on in the first 2 rounds, he'd be a serious contender. Ryan O'Reilly, I think he's been pretty consistent throughout, but just not show-stopping good, which is why I think that's your argument for Tuukka Rask winning both, is that he's just been outstanding for the whole playoffs.
Yeah.
Next level.
Yeah, he's been good. He has been good. I'll be interested to see. I haven't, obviously the tickets haven't gone through, but Game 6 was the second most expensive game in North American sports history to attend.
Game 6 in Boston?
Game 6 in St. Louis.
St. Louis?
Yeah. That game, the average ticket price, so the cheapest ticket to get in the door, the cheapest ticket was $2,019. Was the cheapest ticket to get into the Enterprise Center.
That's pretty pricey.
The average was $4,299.
That's crazy. Would you ever pay that to go to a professional sporting event?
No. I was talking about this with my wife yesterday about what there would be. Now, granted, there was a brief conversation of going to Oakland to watch the Raptors.
Yeah.
Mostly because I can't afford Toronto. It's both cheaper
for you to,
cheaper to fly to Oakland, and it's cheaper to buy tickets in Oakland than it is. And so I fully believe that, tonight's game, or if this series goes Game 7 for the Raptors and Warriors, that'll surpass this Bruins Blues game for sure.
It 100% will. The prices at the Scotiabank Arena are insane.
Yeah. The most expensive game ever is more than $1,000 above the average ticket price for this Blues Bruins game.
Are we talking hockey or sports?
Sports, North American sports.
What was that game?
That was 2016 Cubs Indians Game 7 World Series.
Oh, interesting. I was going to guess Super Bowl.
No, I mean, like, Super Bowl is 3 through 6 in that list. Oddly enough, hockey is 7 and 8 as well. Penguins Preds Game 6 and Bruins Canucks Game 7 round out the top 8 most expensive sporting events ever.
Wow.
So 3 of the top 8 most expensive tickets ever have been hockey, which is interesting. A surprising fact, to say the least.
Yeah, I think that's pretty interesting. And I think it's interesting that St. Louis has jumped up to the top.
Well, did you like the amount of people outside for that game? I wanted the win for them.
Yeah.
I want to see that party.
Yeah. Yeah. It'd be a good party. I'm sure.
It would have been a thing. So, I mean, we did get to see like Philadelphia win a Super Bowl and have that party. So, I mean, it probably would have been a more reasonable party.
Yeah. Man, I can't fathom spending that much money to go in and watch a game.
What is the most expensive ticket you've ever bought?
Like $120.
Really?
Yeah, not even close.
Wow. I spent, and this wasn't sports. The most expensive ticket I ever bought was secondary tickets. While he was retired, he's now like touring again, but Garth Brooks played the 100th Stampede. I paid $300 to go see him.
Okay, if we're including concerts in this, I've probably paid $180 to see the Foo Fighters in Toronto.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. I mean,
go ahead.
No, you go.
I was going to say, it's an expensive experience all around, because then you get in and, like, you know, if you want to drink or you want to eat, you're spending well over $300-400 that night.
No, you pre-eat and pre-hydrate.
Yes, 100%.
I have spent $180 twice this playoffs on tickets as well. So
yeah,
those are my most expensive sports tickets, and I don't think the tickets we were looking at, the cheapest to get into the Warriors Game 4 at the time of looking was $800 American, which would have been like $1,000. That's like over $1,000 Canadian. Not sure I could have justified that.
Still cheaper than the Raptors.
Oh yeah. Right?
I got to tell this story. Like, I know we're talking about the Raptors later, but my buddy's a season ticket holder, and he owns with like 4 people. So they do a raffle for the playoffs, and he's going tonight. And he said that he could have, for his pair of tickets, he could have gotten $10,000.
Well, that's the thing, right? You can go, like, your 4 buddies, they sell those tickets, and they each get their own sets of season tickets next year for free.
Yeah. 100%. I have to tell you, Carl, if it was me, I'd take the $10,000.
It would be very, very tempting. Because then I would look at it the other side. It's like, well, I'm saying no to $10,000. It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
A lot of money.
So, back to Boston. I wonder do we know what the average ticket price is there? It's got to be pushing up there.
Yeah, well, let's figure out. Let's take a peek at the, a real podcasting professional would have pulled this up already.
Mm-hmm.
And yet here we are pulling up the StubHub.
I feel like Boston's probably, well, I'm surprised St. Louis was as expensive as they are.
When was
you think they have a smaller arena?
No, I just think that they have a fan base that hasn't won a Stanley Cup ever.
It would be quite the experience to see the Stanley Cup on the ice.
It would be. Have you ever been to a championship game of any sort?
Never a finals game.
Yeah, never. I've never in any sport. I have. Obviously, it's different, but Calgary just won the lacrosse championship.
Oh yeah.
And so I had people in the building that night. The Roughnecks.
Roughnecks.
Yeah. Cheapest ticket in Boston, $1,500.
Man.
For Game 7. The most expensive ticket, or I guess the best seats, according to StubHub, in the house, are currently listed at $14,000 to sit on the glass.
You can't even see the whole game from there.
You're right. Like, arguably one of the worst seats in the house, you're paying $14,000 for.
but you'll get to see Chara up close through 2 panes of glass.
It's true.
The one in front of you and the one on his face.
Ooh. What do you think about that? Chara playing through the old broken jaw.
I'm kind of stuck between being like really impressed that he's doing this, like what a feat, and also thinking like, you're an idiot, man. Like, you have a broken jaw. What are you doing?
I do enjoy the fact that it's led more. No, I don't enjoy the fact. Hockey people love to think of how tough they are.
I know, but it's like detrimental to yourself in the long run.
You think that playing a contact sport with a wired shut jaw is detrimental in the long run?
How, like, I was wondering, it is wired shut, right?
Yeah.
How does he call for passes or
He can't
talk on the ice? Like, communication on the ice is such a huge part of the game.
Yeah. Don't worry. Your captain can't talk. It's fine.
He's just grunt. So it's just probably just his normal
Yeah.
noises. Just brr.
Probably.
Brr.
Yeah.
How's he chirping?
He's not. He has Marchand for that. Don't worry.
If I were the Blues, I'd be chirping him nonstop.
That'd be smart. Yeah.
Because he can't say anything back.
He just has to bear and grin it. And he can't even grin.
He'd probably break his jaw more.
Yeah. Can you imagine just snapping out of that wired shut jaw halfway through the game
No.
and just yelling?
That would actually be terrifying, though, if you're the Blues.
If all of a sudden you just heard it pop in a scrum,
Oh, no.
it's over. It's over. You're done.
It's like you're taunting a dog on a leash, and then the leash snaps, and you're just, oh, God.
I'm gonna get bitten.
Yeah, I'm gonna get bitten.
We had a suspension during this as well. Barbashev from the Blues suspended 1 game for his hit on Marcus Johansson. I thought it was a very fair suspension. Very, like, again, kind of like we decided last time that 1 game was about appropriate, and this was, again, it was blatant. It should have been a suspension.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't like the way he kind of like clipped him from the front. He had a lot of space. Like, he chose his lane, and he decided to go for the head.
Yeah.
It's not a good look for him. He could have easily gone shoulder to shoulder.
Absolutely. Well, that is it. We got Game 7 coming up on Wednesday night. Make sure to clear your calendars and tune in. Hockey's got 1 game left, folks.
That's it. And then we move on to the draft.
Then it's draft time. We got the award ceremony next Wednesday. So 1 week after this game ends, we've got the NHL awards. Then we've got the draft. Then we've got free agency. There's going to be a lot happening.
I wonder if Chara is going to go to the awards and if he'll be able to open his mouth at that point.
I've never broken a jaw. I'm not sure the timeline for a broken jaw.
Well, it's a good thing they never choose funny hosts, so he won't be tempted to laugh.
It's probably Will Arnett again. They should get Keanu Reeves. He killed it on that Xbox thing yesterday.
They should get Keanu Reeves. He's probably too expensive for them right now.
It's true.
Like, everybody wants Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. I guess
Will Arnett, though.
Will Arnett, he's essentially free.
Will Arnett and John Hamm. They don't got much going on right now.
Yeah. I know, everyone's losing. Like, literally, it's news in the hockey world that John Hamm shaved his beard.
I know.
No one cares, folks. No one cares.
Here's the one celebrity that watches the St. Louis Blues.
Pam from The Office.
I did see that.
She's a blueser.
I did see that. I like that term, a blueser.
Yeah, made that up.
Did you make that up?
Yeah.
That's really good, Carl.
Thanks.
I'm impressed.
Yeah. Blind squirrel's right twice a day. Jeff Skinner. Let's get into some off-season talk now. We talk about how fast and furious the off-season is going to be coming.
Yeah.
Here it is.
You mean we don't have to talk about the Bruins anymore?
No, it's done. Now we're going to talk about the Buffalo Sabres.
Oh, God. Can we go back to the Bruins?
Jeffrey Skinner is the proud owner of an 8-year, $9 million per year contract, 8 years, $72 million for a free agent winger coming off a 40-goal season.
What do you think about that, Carl?
A lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
A lot of money for a guy. Now, granted, Jeff Skinner scores goals.
Uh-huh.
That's, no one here is arguing that fact.
No, and goals cost money.
Goals cost a lot of money. You cannot You can't actually win any games if you don't have any goals.
We might have to fact check you on that one, Carl.
No one, if you don't score any goals, you cannot win. That's a fact.
I mean, shootout goals don't technically count as goals.
Exactly. Those aren't on the stat sheet.
They're not on the stat sheet.
That's like a less fancy stat. There's like stats, fancy stats, and shootout stats.
Nobody cares about shootout stats.
No one cares at all. No.
I think that in 2 years, the Bruins are going to be we've been talking about the Bruins too much. I think that in 2 years, the Sabres are going to be trying to offload this contract.
You think it's that bad? I don't think it's that bad.
I think they're going to regret it sooner rather than later.
So $9 million puts him up there with Nikita Kucherov as one of the most expensive wingers. Patrick Kane. Right? He's in that realm of players' value. And
do you think he is?
Well, he would be in the second tier of wingers.
I think so too.
I mean, he's a good second tier, but he's in the second tier. Depending on how big we make it. But yeah.
It's probably $2 million more than I would have thought. Maybe a little less, but
I think that 2 million. So if you look at the 2 million mark, like that's at about the same amount that like Andrew Ladd got 2 years ago. 3 years ago. Whenever Andrew
but we all agree that Andrew Ladd was a massive overpayment though, right?
But that year where the Sabres signed Okposo, Andrew Ladd, Louis Eriksson, like the crop of free agents at that point in time, I think the fact that a player had free agency and was going to go to market, this is about what I don't think the Sabres overpaid. I think that this is just what a 40-goal scoring winger demands on the open market.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably right. I wonder how many years he's going to be a 40-goal scoring winger for. And then, like, did they have to give him the no-move clause too? Well,
yeah, that's always the thing. But they did manage to also give him the lockout protection. So this is really all things are coming up Jeff Skinner here.
Oh, this is a great deal for him. Yeah. He's lockout protected. He's expansion protected.
Yeah, he's not going to Seattle. He's stuck in Buffalo.
Some money.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously he makes plenty of money, but I don't know. It is more than I thought. You know, I would say maybe, you say 2 million, I say maybe 1. But I don't think it's something that the Sabres are going to regret. Jeff Skinner is a Buffalo Sabre till he's now 35 years old. Now, as with every
it's not terrible.
Deal, by the time you're 35, it's not going to be that good.
100%, yeah.
And so
sorry, go ahead.
It does become when does this contract become regrettable? You said 2 years.
Yeah.
I think 29-year-old Jeff Skinner is still a good player. I think 32-year-old, 33-year-old Jeff Skinner might not be.
Here's what's going to make it look either better or worse. The Sabres GM, who is it Botterill? Is that his name? Can't remember what this guy's name is. Jason Botterill. He's got his work cut out for him still. If he can build a team that gets these guys into the playoffs and gets them going on runs in the next 3 to 4 years, Jeff Skinner's deal is going to look great. But if he can't put the right pieces in place to put them in a position to start making deep playoff runs, then they're going to be in this constant phase of retooling or rebuilding or whatever you want to call it. And, you know, in the next 3 to 4 years, they're going to be like, we can't retool with a $9 million contract on our books. He's got to go. It's too much.
Yeah, I do agree with that. The only other side is looking forward for these Sabres. Just unreal how much cap space they have. There is barely anyone. The only players signed beyond this season or beyond this next season are Rasmus Ristolainen, Jack Eichel, Kyle Okposo, and now Jeff Skinner. 4 players. And Carter Hutton. 4 players. And so there's a lot of flexibility with this team. The roster is going to be wildly different. Obviously, many of those will be restricted free agents who extend, right? But that's really what this team is at that point where they have to figure out who they are, what they're going to do. And there's a ton of ways that Jason Botterill can take this team and he will have, like you said, he'll have to make that decision because they will have to. But I like the fact that they have that knowledge of Jeff Skinner where they know now, right? Like it's not like they're surprised by it. It fits into their cap structure now and they have to build around it into the future.
Yeah, for sure. And they've got a lot of good young pieces coming up too, right? So they're in a good spot. He's in a good spot to sign that big of a deal to one player.
Well, and this team was good enough at, the start of the season to be one of the best teams in the league. I think we'll see this year, with the change in head coach. That's one thing we actually haven't touched on. Ralph Kruger announced as the head coach of this team.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
coming back from working in soccer.
Yeah, it's kind of neat.
It's an interesting route, right? To leave hockey, go to soccer, and then come back.
I'm really interested. I'm not a big soccer guy. I don't follow it that closely. I don't play it that much, but it'll be interesting to see what kind of strategies he brings over from that sport to this one.
I do think that there's a lot of crossover between the two for sure.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
But they're played so differently.
For sure. I think the speed is a big part of it and the size.
Yeah.
But strategy wise, I think there is definitely things to be gained from both.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah. Well, and there we go. So Buffalo Sabres, and they've got St. Louis's first round pick this year that they got in the Ryan O'Reilly trade. So they're going to be picking real deep in the first round as well as their own pick. So, they've got pieces, and I think they'll be fine in the future.
Yeah, I think so too. They really do have the next 3 or 4 years to build a real roster, and then they can go on their runs.
Yeah, for sure. Kevin Hayes hasn't signed yet, but in the middle of a Stanley Cup final game, he was traded.
Yeah, kind of a weird situation, right? Wasn't it right after we recorded too?
Yeah, that would have been game 4 last week, right?
We recorded and an hour later you texted me. You're like, trade happened. Kevin Hayes.
We know the NHL makes the Oilers wait to not a game day to make a head coaching announcement, but the Flyers and the Jets, they'll make a trade right in the middle of a game.
Yeah. They don't care.
Yeah, you thought Gary Bettman was throwing his hands up before. He's just got his hands all over the place. He doesn't know what to do with his hands. But that is the case. Kevin Hayes traded to the Flyers from the Jets for a 5th round pick. So essentially negotiation rights, which speaks to, I think it's interesting where the Flyers think they're at. If they're, willing to sign Hayes, which is going to be in 6, 7, a high cap number, they're going out. They're looking at a forward this year.
Well, they're trying to speed up their building, right? I don't know what I'm trying to say. They're not rebuilding, but they're trying to get better faster.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they probably figured they didn't know if he'd sign with them, but what we talked last week about how the draft is so based on luck, the deeper you go.
Yeah.
So do you take a chance on a 5th round draft pick, or do you take a chance on signing Kevin Hayes?
Yeah, absolutely. And if that's the guy that they said that they want, right? There's no such thing as, and we either talked about this on or off the show last week, but the fact that agents talk to agents and they talk to managers, and even though you're not allowed to negotiate right now, the Flyers knew full well whether Hayes had any interest in signing with them and at what number he was interested in signing.
For sure.
I've honestly, of late, and it's not something that I study in depth, but I don't recall a lot of these where you're traded for negotiation rights and the guy doesn't sign.
Yeah, it's very rare. And it's normally for like real depth guys too.
Like, I remember the Avalanche traded for Carl Soderberg. They gave up like a 4th round pick and signed him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that happened shockingly fast. Like, I would not have been surprised. I think I messaged you this. I expected Hayes to be signed before the end of the game last week when he was traded. And he's so here we are, just waiting.
I don't know where they see him fitting into this roster. Because he's a centerman, right?
Yeah, he is.
And they've got Sean. I'm looking at their depth chart right now. They've got Sean Couturier. They've got Nolan Patrick. And they've got some guy named Scott Lawton.
Scott Lawton, yeah.
Scott Lawton.
I do wish to call him Scott Lafton from now on.
Lafton. I mean, Laugh. It's funny.
Yeah, it is. English is weird. We won't get into that right now.
That's a whole other podcast.
That's our other podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you put him at 2C and bump Nolan Patrick down to 3C? Even though Nolan Patrick, coming into his prime pretty soon, is going to be better than a 3C. Or do you swap them?
Well, and then are you paying Kevin Hayes numbers for a 3C?
Exactly.
Or do you like? I feel like you want to get Nolan Patrick all the opportunities, the chances that you can. And so, like, will it stunt? I don't think a 2 versus a 3 will be enough minutes to really limit him. You're going to get better opposition on the third line. So he's going to look great.
But I mean, that's going to make him more expensive down the line too. But I do wonder if like, I don't know if that's what the sticking point is for Kevin Hayes. He's like, what's my role on this team?
Yeah.
You know, am I a 3C? Like, fine, I'll play 3C because we're going to be good, but I can demand this much money on the open market.
Well, another thing that's interesting is that Alain Vigneault, coach of the Flyers, coached Hayes in New York.
Yeah.
And so obviously that's something where he's like, I liked what he did there. You know, Rangers fans laugh because they're like, well, he didn't use him properly when he had him in New York. Why is he going to use him properly here? But, you know, that's something where he knows him well enough to say that he fits into what his goal for the team is. And this is with a new coach this year. That's something that is worth noting as well.
Yeah, for sure. And again, like, it's another one of those personal connections. You talk about, you know, the possibility of tampering, and like, tampering's a pretty harsh word, but like, these guys all talk to each other. It wouldn't surprise me if Alain Vigneault was like, hey, Kevin, how's it going, bud? Philadelphia, you want to come play in Philadelphia? LOL.
I'm fairly, like, he probably talked to him at the urinal before the game.
Yeah.
Where all conversations happen in hockey.
Yeah. Kevin Hayes is just doing his thing, and Alain Vigneault walks past the 20 open urinals right beside Kevin Hayes.
How do you feel about Philadelphia?
The city of brotherly love.
With an arm around the shoulder. There's been some strong rumors out of Anaheim that Corey Perry will be on the move. Which is
one
interesting.
way or another, right?
Yeah. Corey Perry, owner of a no movement clause. Corey Perry, owner of an $8.625 million cap hit for 2 more seasons. And somehow Anaheim thinks that they can just move him.
What do you think? Do you think they can move him?
I don't. Who wants Corey? Do you want Corey Perry on the Red Wings?
No.
Well, at what number would you? How much of this salary would they have to retain for you to want Corey Perry on the Red Wings?
Oh boy, God, I don't even know.
Because you can
probably more than half.
Yeah, you can retain half. So that'll drop it to like 4.3.
Sure, I'd take him at 4.3.
Yeah, but like, what would you give up at 4.3? I'm not giving.
Oh no, I'm just taking him.
Right? Yeah, that's the thing. It's just a free Corey Perry.
I'm not giving anything up.
Yeah, it's for a guy coming off significant injury problems, right? He's been injured, you know, non-significantly. He's kind of oscillated between healthy and not, but last year, 31 games, 10 points. A rough year.
The injuries make it tough, man. Like, that's the That's the thing with him. I mean, I kind of wonder if they're putting this all out there to say, yeah, we're shopping him, we're considering buying him out. We decided not to buy him out. He's got to go on LTIR, 0 cap hit.
Yeah. Well, I don't. Yeah, the talk of buyout as well. I don't think he'd be bought out.
I just did the buyout calculation on Cap Friendly. The cap hit next, not this coming season, the one after would be over $6 million.
So the second of the 4 years of the buyout.
Yeah, $6.6 million.
So they'd save $6 million this year. So this year it's great. But then the next year.
What are you going to do with the $6 million this year that's not going to transfer over into the next year?
Just a 1 year, $6 million deal? That's a terrible idea.
Yeah, I know. Offer it to Kevin Hayes. Maybe he'll take it.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, do you want to play behind Ryan Getzlaf? Or behind Ryan Kessler? Which Ryan do you want to play behind?
Oh, boy.
Just kidding. Ryan Kessler's not going to play.
Kessler's another one. You think he's just going to LTIR?
Yeah, I think that this entire team is just going to be on the injured reserve.
It's going to be crazy.
There's no.
Oh, my God. They all have no move clauses, too.
Yeah. Not a good look for the old Ducks.
Oh, that's bad. I don't know what they're going to do about Corey Perry. He's not great.
No, he's not great.
He's one of those players, though, that you hate him, but when he's on your team, you really like him.
Oh yeah. Every team's, you have to have some of those for sure, but the Ducks will be an interesting case study this year, where they go, what they do, because they've been up for a very long time. They've been good for quite a while. So, and now they've got 34-year-old Ryan Getzlaf and Corey Perry. I guess since they came into the league, they've been good.
I think they're going to have to just suffer through this next season and focus on rebuilding starting in 2020-21.
But no money comes off the books after this year. Is the $3 million of Patrick Eaves is not what's hamstringing this team.
No, you're right. But I think that when you get to 2020 and 21, I guess that would be a suffering season too. But the players become easier to move.
True. Yeah. 1 year of Corey Perry or 2 years of Ryan Kessler. A little better.
Yeah. 100%. And then you can retain salary and it's less painful. I don't know.
You just have to hope. So you don't put him on long-term IR right off the hop. You hope that he can play 10 games, look great, or even have a great preseason. Just play Corey Perry 30 minutes a night for the preseason and just hope that someone thinks he's back. And then move him.
And then trade him to Buffalo.
And then give him to the Sabres, yeah. Hey, Jack Eichel needs a winger.
I did. Yeah. He'll be negotiating the trade.
He'll be giving up Jeff Skinner for him.
Yes. I do wonder what leaking this trade / buyout business does to that relationship between the team and the player. Or if it was already damaged enough that he was like, fine, we're done anyways. I
wonder if I would not put it past him. If it's such a situation where perhaps Corey Perry told them that he's the leak.
Could be.
And he wants out of Anaheim, right? I have one less shot. I'm 34 years old. I'm not getting healthier. I'm not getting younger. If I want to win a Stanley Cup, is Anaheim the team that's going to win it for me? Not with me being paid $8 million, they're not. So let me see if I can get bought out.
If I was any of these veteran players, Perry, Getzlaf, or Kessler, I'd be wanting out of Anaheim. Your time's limited. But I think about it that way. I think if I was Lundqvist too, I'd be trying to get out of New York.
Yeah, I think that's a different... I guess it depends, right? Some people want to be able to have their whole career in one city. They want that legacy there. Some people want to be able to win a Stanley Cup.
Yeah. I just don't think that I don't know. I would never hold it against a player for going to chase a cup towards the end of their career.
No, these guys are all in the same camp as any of the, I think locally of Jerome McGinley, right?
Yeah.
He left Calgary, went elsewhere, and no one really cares anymore.
Yeah.
And he did it. He was gone for 4 seasons.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's fine. Speaking of things and winning championships, how are you surviving Toronto these days?
Oh, Carl, it's crazy here. Like, it's nuts. People have been lining up in Jurassic Park since Saturday for tonight's game. There was one guy on the news who, when he saw the Raptors were going to win the game, he was at Jurassic Park on Friday. So when he saw they were going to win, he left before the game ended to get back in line to be the first one for tonight's game.
How does it work with a line to get in?
So I guess we should explain. For those who don't know, Jurassic Park is the area outside of Scotiabank Arena. Like, it leads right up to the doors. There's a big screen outside, and it just becomes a big viewing party. So thousands of fans will go. They have concessions up, and they put the game on the big screen. And when they go on deep playoff runs, they extend it further and further back down the street. Now, because it is a licensed area, as in the arena can serve concessions and serve drinks and all of that, they have to have, there is a limit for how many people can be in that licensed area. And they have to check IDs and everything on the way in. So they open and close it at very specific times.
Okay. So it's not like you can't just show up and you're there and because it's, better than me. Is it, I assumed it was a street that they shut down, but it's not, right? It is? Okay. It is.
Yeah, the street runs right through there. So what they'll do is they'll close it before, after, and during the game. But when there's no game on, they have to open the street.
Right.
So cars are driving through.
So these people who've been lined up are just lined up on the sidewalk?
I think so. I haven't gone down there just because it's madness.
Mm-hmm. Wise.
Yeah, I assume they're on the sidewalk. I assume they have some sort of tent situation going on because the weather's not been ideal in Toronto these days.
Still, eh?
Oh, today it's been nonstop pouring rain.
Well, it'll be a good time to stand outside and watch a basketball game.
It's not supposed to stop till after 11 tonight.
Well, good luck, Raptors fans.
Yeah. So, like, we talked about how much you would pay to get into an arena to watch a game like this. If it was free, like it is here, would you stand outside in a big crowd like that and watch there?
Yeah. I mean, I did when the Flames went on their cup run. I went and watched at the Saddle Dome. I think it was like a food bank donation to watch at the viewing party for road games. I did that.
Yeah.
It's a very fun experience.
Yeah. Being in the middle of it with everybody and
yeah.
Yeah, it is a fun experience.
And now granted I wouldn't line up since Saturday. Like I wouldn't wait 3 days to do that cuz I guess it was Friday was the game. So he was lined up since Friday. Friday
was the game. So Friday we were at friend's house watching the game and we got off the subway and one of the stations closest to where I live is at Yonge and Dundas, which is like the big square in Toronto. It's basically the Times Square of Toronto. And we got out the subway and the entire street was closed down for a block in every single direction because everyone swarmed the middle of the intersection. People were climbing on streetlights and waving flags.
I did see that picture. It was a good look on the city.
It was really cool, man. People are really excited.
So one thing that's interesting is with this run, the Toronto Raptors have surpassed the Toronto Maple Leafs in terms of value.
Really?
They are currently, I believe, $1.8 billion. The Leafs, $1.45 billion. And MLSE just raking it all in.
Yeah, because it's the same owner. So
yeah, they own both. And so they're loving this. They don't care. Kyle Dubas is like, thank you. You need to fund my analytics department.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All his players are going to the games.
Yeah.
Loving it. The Leafs are loving this.
Absolutely. No one's angry that the Leafs aren't in the Stanley Cup.
Can you imagine, though, Carl, if the Leafs went to the finals and went to Game 7, there would be the Raptors tonight and the Leafs on Wednesday.
You could not. That would be... Now, I said that I wouldn't spend... I would come live on your couch. That's what I would do.
It would be worth it for that, I think.
Yeah, for both of them. And I would just go to Jurassic Park or whatever they call the Leafs version of it.
Oh, they just call it Jurassic Park.
Okay, it's only Jurassic Park.
It's only Jurassic Park.
Okay. I was trying to think like an orchard, maybe you could call it for the Leafs.
Like a forest, maybe?
A forest. Yeah. I guess they're not, it doesn't say they're maple leaves. You don't really get apples off of
Yeah, no. No, you don't. You get maple, so
you get maple. What's a syrupery? I don't know what you call a place where you get a bunch of syrup.
I don't know that either. Which probably makes us bad Canadians.
Probably. But Raptors, I'm pumped. Like, I've been a Raptors fan since day one, as many of us were. Even though I lived in Calgary, which was technically closer to the Grizzlies at the time.
Yeah.
I've been all Raptors. And it probably is very much based on the fact that Jurassic Park has been my favorite movie since it came out.
So yeah, I know, it's really good. There's a lot of good Jurassic Park memes out there too. Like one of the one I saw today was that Jurassic Park, the movie, part of it was shot in Kauai.
Oh.
Kauai, like Kauai or something, Kaui. I don't know where it is, but it's a fun one.
I've been there. Yeah.
Oh, have you?
Yeah. I lost my mind. The bus driver was like, if any of you care, outside the window, you can see where Jurassic Park was filmed. And I was the only person on the bus.
Stop the bus.
Oh my goodness. That's where they go.
Yeah. Awesome. So so you're pumped about this, eh?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I remember I had my Raptors swag from day one. I remember where I was when Vince Carter missed the shot that Kawhi did hit. I remember where I was when Kawhi hit the shot. Obviously, it was like a week ago. Mm-hmm. I've been there when, the Raptors got the first overall pick and they didn't have anyone good to pick with it. Mm-hmm. It's been, I'm not the hugest basketball fan. Obviously, I would put them below hockey, but to have my team in the finals, I'm not in the city, but man, it feels great.
It's pretty exciting. So how are you feeling about tonight?
Confident, but like we got Kevin Durant coming back too. And at the start of last game, I was very confident that at least one of Klay Thompson or Looney were going to be a decoy. I was like, neither of these guys are actually going to play. And they looked perfectly fine. Like, let's acknowledge the fact, sure, Zdeno Chara played with a broken jaw wired shut. But according to reports, Looney'd broken a collarbone and can still shoot a basketball.
It's crazy.
That's pretty impressive.
And the shots that they make too are like I'm not a huge basketball fan. I've never really followed it, but I watch it. Like when the Raptors go to the playoffs, I always watch, and I'm always impressed with the athleticism that they have. It's unbelievable. Like the shots they make are they blow my mind.
Yeah, and like it's for those who don't watch a ton of basketball, like an underrated game physically. Like it's not a non-contact sport by any means, and so I would say that on the average, basketball players have to be some of the most athletic people on the planet.
For sure. I mean, Fred VanVleet lost a tooth in the last game.
Lost a tooth, 7 stitches, no concussion, was able to suit back up. I mean, the Raptors already had it clinched, so they didn't put him back in, but man, had a kid. Fred Jr. shows up. Fred Sr. loses a tooth and gets elbowed in the face. What a month for the Van Vliets.
Yeah, no kidding. And now he could add a championship to his trophy case.
Let's knock on wood there, but yeah. Yeah, well, and against the Warriors, up 3-1, it's very easy for me to tell myself that, the Raptors can win 1 of 3 games against the Warriors.
Yeah.
But bringing back Durant, if he's actually healthy, and the talk is, I don't know what's happened since we started recording this show. The game starts in 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And so we'll see what happens if he is actually playing, what he can provide to this team tonight, because that's something that the Raptors can't. They don't have that option of being like, yeah, we'll just bring in one of the best players in the league. It's fine.
He can't be 100% healthy though, right?
Well, that's what, again, though, like Clay went off last game.
Yeah.
And I thought the same about him. I was like, man, you have a hamstring injury. Like, how are you going to be able to get up and down the court? He did.
It's crazy. I vacuumed one afternoon and I can't lift my back.
I think you're doing it wrong. Next time we're recording a podcast, we've got a Raptors game to go watch here soon. But next time we're recording a podcast, I want you to bring your vacuum cleaner just so I can give you some pointers.
Dude, you have no idea the pain I've been in since Saturday.
I don't. You know what? You don't even have like, aren't you like a one floor thing? You don't even have to do stairs.
One floor, yeah, and it's like half a floor. I have a very small apartment.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't even have to do stairs. No.
Yeah, like I feel like I would hurt myself vacuuming, like lifting the vacuum cleaner upstairs.
Yeah, no, I don't have those.
Well, lucky you, but also maybe stretch.
Yeah, I've got to start doing that.
Next time you're vacuuming, just limber up a little bit first.
It's true. But yeah, stairs, we'll see if the Raptors can climb the stairs to victory tonight.
Ooh, there it is.
Try to get us back on track here.
If you want to, we talk about how much these cost, Nick.
Yeah.
I've got tips for you.
Okay.
SeatGiant.ca. SeatGiant.ca with promo code APN. If you want to go to Game 7 of the Raptors, we talk about, you will literally save on average $1,000. No, on average $200 just by using promo code APN at SeatGiant.ca. Go there. You are foolish if you don't. Literally everyone who's doing this needs to go to SeatGiant. If you're going to the Raptors games, you need to do this. If you're going to a game in Boston and you're going to be paying those ridiculous amounts, you need to use SeatGiant.ca. It's the only place to buy tickets because you can save 5%, which is a lot when you're spending that much money.
Well done, Carl. That was a really good transition.
fourthlinepodcast.com, at fourthlinepodcast on Twitter. Got one more game of high sticking. That's it. We're going to crown one last winner this offseason. We're going to find out. I have not looked. It's been you talk about picking teams this year. I haven't even looked to see what's happened with their bracket challenge. We'll figure out who won that. Crown a winner over there. Get ready for the offseason. We'll be back next week. Talk about Game 7. Prep you for the offseason. Maybe look at some awards. Say who's going to win the awards. And, and then the next week say that about how right we were. You can find us at all the social medias. Facebook.com/fourthlinepodcast. We're on Instagram for our biannual Instagram posts. But Wednesday, Game 7. Tune in. We'll be tuning in. See ya.
Time for us to wrap up another Fourth Line show. I know what you're thinking. You don't want us to go. But we're going to watch the Raptors win at basketball. And then hopefully on Wednesday, we'll watch the Bruins fall.